might think. Sophomore Julia Whitten from Essex is actually an accomplished anime cartoonist who won a Boston Globe Gold Bead for her artwork last year.
Fiona and I see Julia working on her drawings for cross-country practice, in between classes, and even on debate trips. We were so impressed by her talents that we encouraged her to audition for this year's talent show.
Tonight, we proudly present Julia Whitten with a PowerPoint presentation of the progression of her artwork over the past 2 years.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. I'm not going to sing or dance. I try. I might not be that good. Julia! 2 years ago, my little sisters asked me to make them paper dolls. Now, at the time, I didn't quite realize how much this would escalate, but then again, I didn't quite realize how much I love cartooning either. This presentation is titled, Whoops, There Go My Marbles. It's a documentation of my progression as an artist. This was my artwork starting off. It was very anime, had a lot of superheroes in it. I didn't quite know what I was doing, at all. My colors were very dim. I had awful anatomy, and I was just kind of moving around in the dark trying to figure out what I was doing. To get the ball rolling with my progression, I created my own character. Her name was Alice Montgomery, but preferred to go by her nickname, At. She was a very interesting and vivid character, as vivid as her hair. She was meant to be very expressive in her own way. It was very music-based, especially by the band Gorillaz, which was a huge influence for me when creating her. Since At was so expressive, I used her in a lot of my expressionism pieces. These were a series of pieces I did. The first is titled Ignorance is Bliss, the second, But Knowledge, and the third is Enlightenment. I did these shortly after a Green Team meeting assembly. Listening to what they were saying, it kind of made me realize how out of tune we are as humans to what is going on in the world around us. We don't realize all the pollution that is piling up in the streets, on the highways, in the harbors. We choose instead to hide behind a veil of ignorance. And for me, I decided that I could convey this through my cartoonism, and thus these 3 pieces were born. To further my progression, I started creating my own characters, and even came up with a story titled Project Symphony. It was about 7 characters living in the year 3025, a very cyberpunk story, because I loved drawing robots. This is Aaron. He was one of my first characters in that Project Symphony series, and was half human and half robot. This was a chart of progression I put in. This is my character, Larkin. He was meant to serve as a balance to At. Where At would be the more expressive and vibrant parts of music, Larkin was the more laid back. You know, that Jack Johnson song you listen to at 9 o'clock at night when you're curled up in your bed. Just that kind of aspect to music. When I started off, he was very etchy. I didn't really know what I was doing with colors. But as I progressed, I started incorporating my more realistic style into my cartoonism. I also started working with new mediums. Moving out from colored pencils, I started using Prismacolor markers. These markers made pieces pop, so I used them for bright pieces of artwork that were meant to be very vivid. I have a squid here, and this one's titled Squirt, and just a simple gas mask that I did, taking into account values. Squirt. I was convinced by my friends to get up here and say, let me tell you about Homestuck. Homestuck is an internet webcomic about 4 kids who play a video game, and nothing will ever be the same. Reading this webcomic over the summer, I realized that I could do much more with my characters than I ever dreamed. The crazy plots and bright characters really captured my interest and revived my own interest in my characters. I started working more with perception, as in this first picture, and really kind of broadened my aspects of my art. This was a series of observational drawings I did, moving away a tiny bit from the cartoonism, but eventually came back to it. These pieces were done on the movie Alice in Wonderland featuring Tim Burton, and I absolutely loved that movie, so I really took my time with these pieces. They total, all the series of the pieces, took about 3 months, ranging from 3 hours on one piece to 2 or 3 days. First we have Absalom, the caterpillar, and the delicate little dormouse. Then the two rabbits, the white rabbit and the slightly mad March hare. Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and the red queen with her curls of hearts. Alice and the Cheshire cat with his kooky grin. His fur took about 4 hours. Rest in peace, my mechanical pencil. These were the ones I spent the most time on. The Bandersnatch, because I loved that poem when I was a child. And the Mad Hatter. I spent a lot of time taking into account the tiny little details with him. His eyes I put kind of out of focus so he wasn't exactly looking straight at you, and I put a lot of trinkets into his hat. This was reappearing in my artwork. I did this to convey the flow of thought of an artist and titled it, "Whoops, There Go My Marbles." Another influence for me was the Studio Ghibli movies. After watching Spirited Away with my little sisters, I decided that I would do a more realistic rendition of the dragon Haku. I looked at a screenshot and then did my own version of it. This was a project which I just recently completed that I am very proud of. These are 3 music boxes, each created to fit a certain song, and each of the songs had a very music box quality to it. The first was Nateau Papette. The song Nateau Papette, which you can hear now, is very mechanical. It starts off with the whirring and clicking of the interworkings of a clock. And because of that, I started lacing clocks throughout the outfits of my dolls. This doll was meant to be very free-flowing and light and carefree, just as the music itself was. It was very delicate. The second one was set to a song by Regina Spektor titled Blue Lips. Now this song has a lot more weight to it, and its lyrics a little more in depth. Because of this, I put more emotion into the doll's face and gave her a bit of a heavier pose, weighted down by words. She revolves on a little record and has steampunk style boots, and the clocks again reappear in her dress. The last one I did was to the song Satellite by Guster. Because the song was a lot more bright and kind of caught your eye, or ear technically, with its music, I did a bit more of a vivid drawing. The dress was red and meant to be a little more eye-popping and eye-catching, just as the song was. She was my partnerless doll ready to dance. This is my final improvement scale. Now, I dug through many a bookshelf and a drawer and a desk to find this drawing. It is the first cartooning drawing that I ever did of my very first original character, Kiku. She was set for Project Symphony, meant to be robotic, and I found this a couple months ago. If it burns your eyes, I'm exceptionally sorry. Here she is, her eyes taking up half of her face. This was done about 2 years ago, and I did not know what anatomy was. The clothes just kind of hung off of her figure, and it was very, very crudely done. But this is Kiku now. I drew this about 2 weeks ago, rendered in a more robotic form. She's shown with the robotic pieces of her hand slowly crumbling away to show the human underneath. I really can't thank everyone enough for helping me grow as an artist. All of my family members, all of my friends, all the countless days and hours of listening to music, trying to figure out what I could do. Art for me wasn't just strokes on a paper. It was a way that I could convey my opinions. And when I thought about the world, I could put all this on a paper and just make it my own, make my opinions my own, and show it throughout my characters. And really, I couldn't have asked for more. So I thank everyone.